Well, it is episode 128 of Hotline League, and boy golly gee, am I so excited to be here with scoping out guy in the van, trying to see if the target is in the building. Mark Zimmerman with the hat and the microphone and everything. I don't know. How's it going, Mark?
I'm a stage manager. I'm wearing all blach.
Actually, that is true. You do look a lot like a stage manager. I will recognize that.
Things are going okay. This week was a little bit better, I think, for the LCS. So there were still some problems.
And we'll talk about the broadcast too. I think maybe we do another couple calls in the beginning, just because.
I mean, if someone has a good call about the broadcast, I'll definitely still pull it. But
shout out, by the way, to Draft Buff and Alienware, our sponsors for this episode. Yeah, I mean, I think I saw a couple takes in there, but I mean, what do you think? You think it's getting better? Less technical issues, at least, right?
There was one technical issue that I remember that we had that made me go, "Feels bad, man," but I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was Kobe in the solo casting.
Oh yeah,
that made me feel real as bad, man.
I felt bad for him because I hear him on the other side, right? And he goes from being like, "This is really exciting," blah 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 blah, to like, then there's a bunch of silence, and there's like, "Yeah, I don't know what's happening, guys. Audio, blah, blah, blah." You know, it's just
like Captain Flowers killed it, and it was pretty funny. Every time he'd be like, "Welcome back, Kobe," and then like talk with him, but he still wasn't
to
back.
Himself too. And what's great is I could hear Kobe's side of the conversation, so I knew what he was responding to. But then there's like a delay. So it's like I hear Kobe, and then I hear Captain, and then I hear silence, and then I'm like, "Uh-oh." You know, it's this fascinating thing being on that side.
Did you know that this is 2 to the 7th episode that we've done? Because it's 128.
It's what?
2 to the 7th.
Oh. That's a mathematical thing, huh?
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's cool.
That is cool. I'm so happy you did that. You know, Iceman 1986 just sent 10 subs in the chat. Also cool. Maybe equally cool. Either way, okay, so there's that. Doublelift went in pretty hard on the broadcast, perhaps a little over the line and calling out, specific individuals in a pretty big way. I don't know.
It was I will say I was happy because it gave birth to David Lim's memes. You see his tweet afterwards?
FlyQuest afterwards. So, I mean, for those that missed it, Peter tweeted something like, it's crazy how someone could make every wrong decision possible and make the LCS so much worse to watch. And FlyQuest coach David Lim tweeted, it's funny how somebody could make every worst decision possible, make TSM worse to watch. Yeah. After the TSM loss to FlyQuest. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that meme at least surfacing some more. It's hard to believe that X person made every wrong decision about some random situation.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Well, regardless, it does feel I think that Sushi Dragon at the end of the broadcast was good.
Oh, and
yeah, I'm sad that people keep flaming him because I feel like now it's like, why is Sushi Dragon here? But if he's at the end of the show on Friday, like, who cares? People can leave if they want to. It's additive. It's not replacing anything.
Yeah, and I understand the argument that I saw some people make, which is like true, but then that argument applies to everything. Like you could put anything at the end of the show and it's all additive.
But very clearly some people like it, right? And I don't think it's like 10 people like it. It's like a good, even if 15% of the audience decides to stick around because they like it, I think that's still fine.
I mean, so I did the interview with him.
It was great, by the way.
It went from like 25,000 viewers by the time we started to like 20K that stayed around.
And but that's on Friday night at like a 10 o'clock. Like when I end the show, I stick around on stream and I lose way higher percentage. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just
as soon as this show ends, everyone's gone, and you're like, please stick around for my bounties.
Yes, of which I have one tonight. Though this one is it makes a little more sense for this channel, I think, than some of the others. But either way, no, I mean, I think the broadcast is getting better. I think some of the fundamental and systemic issues with the broadcast are not going to get fixed from week 1 to week 2, and those are a lot that I talked about. I did an interview with Shocks, by the way, if anybody wants to go watch that, where we talked a lot about how EU LCS became the LEC broadcast and became highly celebrated. And I think, that a lot of people are flaming the LCS right now, and I think the people who are under fire or feeling bad can look at the LEC and say like, oh, okay, you can actually end up having like a really celebrated broadcast in a very short time if you just fix some stuff or work stuff around. So I don't know.
God, there's a lot of takes already. You guys
Really?
are slamming me, yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of opinions, I guess. So what, on the broadcast or what?
Oh no, I meant just like there's a lot of takes going on. It's taking me a
That's
minute
what I
to
mean.
get through
Like
all
takes.
these.
What are the takes about?
Everything. There's just a lot of
Primus.
takes.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. Well, while Mark is doing that, I want to shout out a couple people: Protoss Slayer, Late Night Arc, Popsuvich, and Iceman 1986. Iceman who gifted 10 subs, which is crazy. We haven't talked about this in a while, but there's a whole bunch of sponsors now on the broadcast. And this was actually something where like I have multiple videos on across maybe my channel, the Yahoo Esports one and the GameSpot one, where I'm like, where are the sponsors for the LCS? And actually it's insane how many sponsors are in the LCS. And I think Greeley talked to Washington Post and said that they expect to be break even next year, or profitable maybe next year, based off the trajectory that they're on. So
Oh
I think
yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm happy to see it.
that's interesting because sorry, I got distracted from reading takes. I was in a call with some people just about like things that are going right in the LCS, um, because there was a lot of negativity, and so like we were talking about some of that stuff, and a lot of it wasn't public information, and I'm definitely of the opinion that like we should celebrate our wins.
Yeah.
If we make a big deal, if there's a big signing, if viewership is popping off, and I think it's no surprise that you saw this week. I'm not saying I did this, so I'm just saying that, like, I think this week 2 articles came out about profitability and viewership doing
Yeah.
better. I forget if those were 1 or 2, but like I do think when good things happen, we should be talking about them.
I
Yeah,
think it's super true. I mean, for a long time, the LCS hasn't been super transparent, but I think it's gotten better in the past couple of years, and I can always be more than
yeah.
that. I oh, I'm planning on making a video in relation to the mixer stuff. I think now is a good time to mention that I'm thinking about doing a video talking about the broadcast probably going exclusive in terms of the stream, because I actually do think that it'll end up probably exclusively with Twitch or with YouTube next year, and I don't think many people are talking about that. And I'm curious. I actually think it seems as though Riot is trying to push more traffic to YouTube based off of what people are saying, where it now defaults to YouTube on the watch page. I think drops, which I believe are coming in week 3, is the rumor I've heard. I don't know if that's out there yet, but like getting more and more people to go to watch.lolesports.com rather than like twitch.tv or YouTube to watch, I think is going to be big on them trying to push to an exclusive broadcast. So I think that's good. You got some stuff?
I have one just to get us started, but it's not the spiciest start. You okay with that?
Sure. Yeah, go for it. Off mark goes. Wait. Oh, I don't have streamer mode on. Hang on, let me fix that. Otherwise, we're gonna hear those bonking noise from Discord. I love you, chat. Thank you for the sub. Really appreciate it. I see a lot of people hanging out in chat tonight. Thanks, everybody.
We have someone playing a league game here.
Someone is in a League of Legends game right now?
Yep. I pulled him, didn't know, and now he was the first one I pulled. So here we go.
You shrunk the text on your Discord name.
Yeah, I kind of stole it from another streamer's like title, and I thought it was cool, so I just kept it.
It's in my mother's heart, I think is what it
Yeah.
is. It's very anime, I feel like. You think that's what it is?
No, I just took it from some random one. It was actually TSM Daquan.
Okay.
I don't know. He's a Fortnite
Yeah,
thing
I'm
when I
familiar,
used to play
yeah.
Fortnite.
All right, well, whatever. Where are you calling from?
Northern Virginia.
Northern Virginia. What do you want to talk about?
So my take was that 100 Thieves, I'm a big fan of them. But I feel like their arc is just going to be the same as spring was, where they have a really slow start and they start picking up steam towards the end of the season. And they get a really high placing in playoffs, and then I guess kind of choke, or they'll run into like a EG, a C9, just get stomped.
Why do you
And
so they're now at over this weekend a 1-3 record, I think, after
Yeah.
beating Immortals in that last game. Immortals and Dig both 0-4, so that win has, I think, maybe not an asterisk, but taking games off
Yeah.
Immortals or Dig right now seems to be pretty easy based off of the fact that 4 teams have done it.
Yeah.
So what makes you feel like they're gonna, quote unquote, bounce back?
Just because their upcoming schedule, I'm pretty sure is just gonna be easier. Like Dig is up next. They have, I believe, TSM. I don't think we beat TSM, to be honest.
They have
But
CLG this Saturday, and then they have TSM on Sunday. So they don't have Dig, at least according to Riot schedule. They have Dig and the next on 4th of July. I just realized 4th of July has LCS on it. They are playing Dignitas, and then they have Golden Guardians. So I guess the first week of July they have a pretty easy schedule, but depending on how you feel about TSM and CLG, they might have a harder schedule.
Yeah. I don't think we beat TSM, but just my overall like thing on it is 100 Thieves. I mean, I just feel like, especially with the what's it called? So I put there's obvious changes they could have made before spring or going into spring. So like bringing on Ryoma was kind of like it's
How distracted are you by this League of Legends game right now? Because
I'm very distracted because it's kind of
What's more important? How many times have you been on Hotline League, and how many league games have you played?
I've never been on here. All right, I just finished. All right, so my take.
I'm not advocating
What do you mean
quitting
you
your
just
league
finished?
game. By the
like
way,
you were in the final battle of the game.
Yeah, I just destroyed the Nexus. All right, I'm focusing up again.
I feel like
Sorry
you
for
alt
everyone.
F4'd. I did not mean to guilt you into alt F4'ing.
That seems very coincidental.
Yeah, maybe I did alt F4.
If you alt F4'd, go back into that game right now.
Yeah.
We don't promote.
Finish your thought while you're at the loading screen and getting back in.
No, I got it. So yeah, I just don't. I think the arc will stay the same, and I feel like, in my opinion, so when I was watching the heist preseason, Papa Smithy kept he wants a strong mid jungle duo, and when I see like the replies when we lose in games, I feel like those are the two main spots, and I guess including stunt, where we are struggling. And I feel like there was an obvious domestic pickup we could have got, which is Acadian and Demonte, that I feel like we could really push the mid jungle duo. And like honestly, like my take with Ryoma is he can't really play anything besides Oriana, because all his other games on Azir and Zoe are all weak. Especially if he plays against Zoe, he's really weak. And like you saw, even though it's against Immortals, but you can see a few games against TSM and other teams like FlyQuest and Evil Geniuses last season. If we put him on Oriana, he can really facilitate the team. And Meteos, I feel like is, I think, personally kind of weak now, just because I feel like he's kind of stuck in a mindset. Like if you see his Twitter, he kind of rants a lot about how there's a lot of problems in jungle and he doesn't really like it. So I feel like someone like
he's not in it, you think?
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's in it. I don't think he's a type of jungler that really likes to, I wouldn't want to say adapt, but I feel like he doesn't have a fresh mind or a fresh take on the meta all the time, and I feel like he rather what's it called, complain than
Okay, so you don't have faith in Meteos. Gotcha.
All right, so it sounds like you don't have much faith in a lot of components of this team, but you think that
which is weird because you're it sounds like you're arguing for a redemption arc for this team.
Up to a degree. Like you think they're going to improve. They'll finish top half of the league because that's basically what they were last. I think they were second in regular season or something.
They finished third behind EG and Cloud9.
Right, third in regular season. which is pretty good, all things considered, based off how much you're talking down the team. Even if you do think they're going to bust her out in playoffs, that's still a pretty good turnaround. So like, I feel like I'm having a tonal disconnect between your opinion of the players, which sounds very low, and a decently high regular season placing.
Those are just like the things I feel like it could fix. Like, just if you just take out Ryoma and Meteos and then you put in like a Cadian and a Demonte, I feel like they could have just, because they don't play towards bot with Cody
But with their current
Stun.
roster not being good, which is I think what you're saying,
Mhm.
why do you think they're going to finish
Like,
in the top
yeah, what do
half?
you think is going to change in their performance if you're pessimistic about Meteos changing?
I don't think they're bad. I feel like they're the type of team that ramps up, but I feel like they just choke in the playoffs, I guess, because
Okay.
I don't think they have enough experience. So, like, I think Someday and Meteos have experience to be in those situations, but the rest of the team not really
So they're
still.
as a team, they're skill capped for playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark,
I
do you see the same issues with the team that our caller does?
Yeah, I think he's maybe a little bit more critical. Like I think Cody, he's went to Worlds 3 years on 3 different rosters. So I think he totally has experience to succeed. Meteos and someday, like you said, Ryoma, he's hard to pin down because I'm not really impressed by him, but he was okay by the end of the last split. I don't know if okay cuts it, especially if people are playing better. Like, I don't know, Demonte seems like he's doing decently well. Jensen's playing a little bit better. I still think people are memeing him a lot for some of his games, and I understand it. But like I think some of the people that they finished above in the last split are going to do better. So I think you've kind of correctly identified the problems. I don't think they'll have quite as much of a Cinderella story, but I don't think I'm also quite as negative on. I'm equally negative on some of the individuals, I'll say.
Yeah, I want to talk about some things I'm seeing in chat. Yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't like recognize Cody Sun's experience. Yeah, he went to Worlds, 3 years in a row?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm sorry about that. And then, yeah, Ryoma did go to MSI, 2018, 2019, but that was just like once, I'm pretty sure.
Minor
And
region.
he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, minor region though, and he didn't do that good.
All right. Well, I'll say this. I think they finished about half of the league. I don't think the redemption arc's coming. I think you're right about some of the players' shortcomings.
Yeah.
Though not all of them. And I think Meteos is a little bit better. I think he can adapt and play different things. But I think there's not much inherent synergy I'm seeing right now, and I'm beginning to become more and more pessimistic.
Well, I think the other
Yeah.
thing for me is the rest of the league, or a lot of the other teams, not all of them, have gotten a lot better. And I think that that's an issue for 100 Thieves, right? Like, I think, well, Golden Guardians is also
CLG got
1
better.
3.
Golden Guardians probably got better.
Yeah, that's what I was
CLG,
gonna say.
Golden
They're 1
Guardians,
3.
TL definitely got better.
Yeah.
TSM up in the air still. So you're talking about, almost half the league supposedly has gotten better.
Yeah.
And then the two teams that got worse, Dig and Immortals, were already
Yeah.
below them and out of playoffs. So
Right.
it didn't really matter.
Exactly.
I have them barely making playoffs, either 7th or 8th. I think they, of course, do better than Immortals and Dig. I still don't think CLG's that good, so I maybe have them switching in there or Golden Guardians
Yeah,
towards
but
on the bottom.
6th and 7th is still a far cry from 3rd.
Yeah.
I feel like you've actually done a decent job pinpointing, but you just like the redemption arc part is where you lost me, and I think a lot of people. But I think overall, otherwise, you're not far off.
Yeah, because I was in the middle of a league game. I'm sorry, Chad. I'm looking at them. They're calling me trash and saying to hang up.
Don't worry,
I'm really
that's
sorry,
just
bro. I
Twitch
wasted
chat.
everyone's time.
That's just Twitch chat. No one should ever, just as a pro tip, if you ever call into the show, do not look at Twitch chat while you do it. Mark and I struggle, but it's only the calluses that have built up over.
I just
almost a
imagine
decade.
every single person is like this basement dwelling pizza face, and that's how I get by.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the call, Athie. You want to say on the way out?
Nothing except I did actually so bad in your draft battle royale that I actually feel so bad.
Well, how did you
placed, like,
place?
I think I placed like bottom 100.
Oh, yeah, that's rough. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
we
'cause I
got
had
another one. You
Clover.
can do. I mean, usually I'd say this for the chat, but we've got one more coming, which is week 3. You can do !fantasy in the chat to enter. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. Thanks, Marks.
Yeah, have a good one.
Yeah, see it.
All right. We've got another caller coming up as Mark goes off to grab them. I want to thank Oloni, I think, for sending a prime. And nobody else sent any other subs, so we're going to sit here silently. Warden is here. Warden, where are you calling from?
Downey, California.
Downey. Oh, you've been on multiple times.
Yes.
I need to stop saying that because the YouTube comments are always like, they always pull the same people. Mark, why do you, let's just address this now. Why do we have so many frequent callers?
It's like the people who are good at formulating their opinions and presenting them and having unique takes. It's almost like they show up again and then they do it again. And it's like, well, I can pull the new guy, the new girl, new guy who has a like, he's spamming. Here's one hot take: Golden Guardians have the highest ceiling in the league. Flame emoji, flame emoji, flame emoji. They will be a playoff team. Goat, goat, goat emojis. Mark, I know you see this. React, please. And it's like, maybe I'll pull this person instead.
Well, Warden, what do you? A poor person. You know, they were just trying to get their Golden Guardians taken.
I'm sorry, person in Discord, but it was on my screen when I said it.
Yeah.
People want him on now. All right, I'll pull this person. All right, where are you?
But then this is the funny thing is, then we pull a caller like Fools, who will be on in a bit to talk about Golden Guardians, and they're gonna say they're the best and everything's amazing, and then people will say, why do they pull these stupid callers, ridiculous things? Warden, what do you want to talk about on the show this time?
That I think TSM is in a lot of trouble right now and have shown like the same tendencies they did last split, and the next 2 weeks is going to show a lot about this team. They face EG 100 Thieves next week, and then the week after I think is like the real week that they show themselves, where they face CLG and GGS. I think they have to go 3-1 in like this next 2 week span, or they have serious problems. And I think one of the biggest problems that is potentially like fixable right now is Biofrost. He had a really bad game on Nautilus. I want to say on Sunday that he was like literally like 1-8 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm looking at my draft buff because I think I drafted him, and I did not do well this week, and I think part of it was Biofrost. Much in theme of Nautilus, he anchored me down.
Yes. So I kind of looked into his stats, and in 2020 he's played Nautilus 8 times and has 2 wins with a 1.5 KDA, and he's also played Rakan 8 times with a 10.7 KDA in 2020. So right now he's kind of looking like a Rakan one trick.
Is he a Rakan one trick, Mark?
I don't think so. I think Kabe included was really good with Xayah Rakan. And I think that they had a lot of their best games on Xayah Rakan. And TSM from last split struggled whenever they did something out of their wheelhouse. I mean, even like their set win rate looks the same way. Bjergsen's win rate on anything that's not Syndra looks the same way. Every single one of those players had a stat like that where it's like their KDA's 15 on Syndra, but 2 on everything else. So I think that's a little nitpicky. I think Biofrost has been... I don't think he's been great, but I wouldn't say that's their biggest issue.
I mean, their biggest issue is not... Everybody always tries to pick a single player, but I feel like TSM has never had... I mean, Spica stepped up a little bit this week. Otherwise, I feel like people would be able to criticize him a little bit more.
Yeah, because I think when I look at their win, Spica looked really good. And then I look at their loss, and they had 2 magic damage. Volibear is actually mostly physical. I don't know why I saw people saying they had 3.5 magic, including Nautilus. Volibear is mostly physical. But either way, they didn't have any consistent physical DPS against 3 tanks. You know, it was a pretty poopy draft when you look at what they're playing against. And like, I don't put that on the support player.
Yeah, I don't think Biofrost is the biggest problem. I just think he's the easiest to fix because you have a guy in Treats who's been sitting in Academy for 2 years that seems LCS ready. And it's like, if you have a problem, then you might as well try and fix it, even if just giving him scrim time. I know that Double F and Bjerg don't really like introducing new guys into scrims because they feel like it messes up the team environment in the long term. But if you have a problem, that might be a solution. I think that the whole drafting and like overall like team environment of TSM has been a problem since I think even into like 2017 summer when Double F was still originally on the team, and it just hasn't been fixed. So I don't expect it to get fixed anytime soon. So I'm looking at other solutions.
Mark, are you busy arguing with Twitch chat?
Yeah, about Volibear damage percents. It's okay.
I don't think that. I can't imagine Double F being like, it's week 3, bring in treats like that. I just don't see that happening at all.
Yeah, I don't think yet. I was more saying like, let's say I laid out like the teams they face. Like EG losing to EG is pretty acceptable, but if they're losing to like a team like 100 Thieves, GGS, or CLG, that's not really acceptable for TSM for the standards.
I see, because you were saying the week 4 is really like the make it or break it week for them, and I see what you mean. Like that's if they lose to those teams, then they're
in trouble,
real rough.
It feels like a lot of teams have kind of make it or break it weeks coming up.
Who else?
Was it Golden Guardians or? I need to look at the schedule again. I
mean, Golden Guardians I think had a rough start, so and now I think they're coming into.
Maybe they have the easy one coming up. Yeah. 100 Thieves. That's who we were just talking about. They have a bit of a make or break week coming up. And no, Golden Guardians plays FlyQuest and Immortals. Like they can go 1-1 again, 2-5, or 2 and I can't do math. Holy shit.
2-4.
2-4 at that point. I don't know. It's starting to get make or breaky. I think Golden Guardians is better than the record though.
Yeah, they kind of entered 2 drafts with the too hard to execute drafts for them with poke comps.
Yeah. Either way, back onto TSM. I think Treats is good. I watched him a decent amount in the academy. I think he hopefully gets a shot sometime soon. But I don't know how much of a fix he is for the problems TSM is having right now. And I would probably want to see them try to fix these as a team, given that Double Lift has just come back and it's only been 2-ish months together. I'd rather just try and see them tackle that, especially given that they should have pre-built synergy and this kind of stuff and iron out their drafts before I look to replace a player. And like, if they're not happy with Biofrost, I would maybe say like, yeah, let's see Treats in 2021, but I don't know if I want to mess up 2020. Or not mess up, but risk it on 2020.
Sure.
That is very true.
I mean, other than that, do we agree that the next 2 weeks are the big weeks for TSM?
I would say so. Let me look. They
probably lose to EG this coming weekend, right?
Yes, they probably lose to EG. Then they play 100 Thieves, who looks pretty weak.
So they probably beat them. So then they're 3-3 again. Right now they're in 2-2.
Yeah, and then next week they have, or 2 weeks from now they have CLG, and Golden Guardians. So I would say 2 weeks from now is actually the one where it's like you should look to 2-0 that weekend. Otherwise, you're going to be.
Yeah,
because they would be 3-3 if they're 5-3 at week 4. That's not a terrible record. But if they are like 4-4,
it's also about like how you're winning and what you look like. Because what I said before is like this TSM sadly looks similar to last split's TSM a little bit in terms of like hyper volatility based on draft. Like sometimes they shit stomp kids and you're like, oh my God. And then they'll look terrible because they drafted a bunch of stuff that doesn't really work together. And that's how last split was. They looked incredible. And then they would take, I don't know, Kale top with Ornn mid or whatever that comp was that one time. And like they would have these really up and down drafts. And they like hyper tunneled on Fiddle this week. It felt like where they're like, yes, we want to play Fiddle mid. We're going to play Fiddle mid. That's what we're doing. Oh, it was Maokai mid. That's right. From last split. But they like seem like they practice things throughout the week and then decide they're going to play it no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit too prescriptive.
Well, there's definitely something going on behind the scenes that they need to fix.
Yeah. So those are the issues I'd rather see ironed out a little bit more than like bio replacement.
What do you think, Mark? What do you think the chances are? We just finished week 2. What do you think the chances are that TSM fixes their shit before playoffs or like gets into top 3?
What's the percent? 50-50. Either it happens or it doesn't.
Oh, great. Thanks for that. It's very interesting because I don't know if expectations were wrong. I think now those players would tell you, well, we're just starting off. It's almost like it's spring for us, where we've 40% of our rosters. But on the other hand, it's looking about the same as last split, and I feel like you don't want that. So it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say they're underperforming a little bit right now.
Yeah. Warden, thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
I just want to give a shout out to Alienware. Just got a new PC using your discount code, and I'm just waiting for it to get shipped.
Fantastic. Which one did you get?
I got the customized it. It's the Aurora R10.
Nice.
And
Is
then
that the one with the AMD or the Intel?
It's the AMD, and then I think I upgraded the graphics card and the processor to like the next level up.
Nice. Well, I'm excited for you. That'll be a good system to game on right now.
Yeah, getting ready for Cyberpunk.
Yeah. No. Well, now you've got some
Delayed
extra time
again.
to get ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for the call.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Let's see.
One
Girlish
more
Menace.
caller.
Oh yeah, one more caller. Girlish Menace, thank you for the 18 months. Fishamolson, Mexicution 55, CW5inator, Yoshi 320, and Darth Revan 92. Appreciate it. He says, get that 10% discount XD, what a joke. I think 10% is pretty decent, actually, for systems. You don't ever and it stacks often with their sales, so I just disagree with that take. Arc Wafa mute. Where's the next caller? Get the next caller. Here we go.
All right, here we have
here's-
flame and goat emojis.
Here's our boy. I assume boy, based
It's
off
all
of
about the go
fire and
emojis.
goat.
Did you hear me when I was ribbing you a little bit on the show?
I did not, because I was driving home from work and I was like typing in Twitch chat and trying to listen. It was rough.
You were spamming in all capitals, including emotes, while driving. I hope. First off, you shouldn't be doing that in general. But I hope if you were, it was like at stoplights or something.
Yeah, of course. I'm a very safe driver. It was only at stoplights and stop signs.
This might be the worst show we've ever had in terms of advocating good behavior.
Yeah, it's rough.
Where are you calling from, fools?
I'm calling from the worst destination for an LCS finals to ever be, Detroit, Michigan.
Okay. Hey, I liked it, Detroit.
Don't lie.
Expectations were so low because people flamed Detroit a ton and make a bunch of fun that when I went there, I was like, hey, this is actually a pretty nice place.
It was okay. I didn't think it was like that bad. The only thing that bothered me was the steaming fucking manholes of garbage smell all over the city.
Yeah.
Everything
and the
else
food kind of sucks, right?
I don't know. I have pretty low standards on food.
I don't think we did a hotline there. It was St. Louis that we did the hotline, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right, what do you want to talk about on the show, fools? I know it's Golden Guardians, but why don't you elaborate?
Okay, yeah. So I have never been a Golden Guardians fan in my entire life, and I was the last person in the world to expect that the Golden Guardians C9 game last week was going to be that entertaining. And I was also not a believer in the whole Demonte turning the team around. But after that game and going back and watching all of the Golden Guardians games, I actually think that this is like momentum steaming up, and they have a really easy schedule coming up. So I could see them going from a 1-3 team to possibly like a 5-3 team and going on like a 4 to 5 game win streak. And then hopefully, using this kind of momentum to tunnel their way into playoffs.
I mean, I think they usually make playoffs these days. It's just that once they get there, they don't perform. And playoffs, by the way, is top 8. So we need to stop talking about. I know it's a really easy habit, but I feel like we got to stop talking about.
Yeah, like
will this team make playoffs or not?
I think top half, bot half is the easiest way to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that they're a top half team for sure.
So for clarification.
And when you said I ask one question? Did you said you watched the C9 game and then you said you went back and rewatched their old games?
Yeah, I never watched the games before that because I just thought they were garbage. And then after watching the C9 game, it like sparked my interest. Like, Are they capable of doing this every game?
You like discover. You're like, wait. Who are you normally a fan of?
Sadly, 100 Thieves.
Okay. So what were you looking? Were you shopping?
So he's
around?
looking for a new team.
Yeah, I'm shopping around. You know.
Okay, so you're like,
rough out
oh,
here.
okay, this might be a good value pick right here. You know, not very many
And
people can't say
yeah.
I'm bandwagoning. I get in now. I come on the show and declare it, and then there's evidence that I called it.
new face of Golden Guardian social media.
Okay.
But so just for clarification, your take was that they have the highest potential, right? Or the highest ceiling
Yes, for sure.
out of everyone in the league.
That's a little bold, but
Wait,
I
was
think
that
that
not
was
what-
I think you were spamming goat emojis.
Yes,
And you said
I
highest
actually-
ceiling. What other ceiling were you talking about other than the league ceiling?
Okay, I assume that when I talk about that, we're excluding Cloud9. And excluding Cloud9, I do think that they have the highest ceiling. In the
Cloud9 are on
Because
another level,
you
you're
could've-
saying. They're on the
so-
floor
Exactly.
above.
So
So
you
the
know what-
ceiling is...
Yeah, a great way. That's a good way of putting it, Mark. I just want to note, in the future, you could say they have the second highest ceiling in the league. That might be a.
Yeah, but then the goat emojis don't work, and you don't
See, this
get
is what I'm
pulled
talking about.
into a call. You know what I mean?
This is what we were talking about. This is why I don't pull people like you, because I know as soon as you get on the call, you're going to back down from your take. You're going to say, no. I wasn't including C9 when I didn't include them initially. I meant obviously not C9.
Yeah. Okay, my bad on that one. But
Okay, so-
besides C9, I think that they do have the highest ceiling. I think they're like the first team to pull out one of these like really, really hard execution comps like they did against C9, and then they performed with it against the best team in the league.
I
To an
mean,
extent, obviously.
I don't see this team with that bot lane becoming the second best in the league. I mean, I really wish that they had picked up Treats if he was an option, or Diamond from C9, or like, okay, you did your spring split thing. That was cute. Now let's actually commit to at least a support.
I'd also say their comp wasn't super hard to execute. It's like kind of a press R comp. And then like they did start diving in the back lines, and then they would die, and then they wouldn't have enough.
Yeah, it started to feel like a throw later in the game, but I mean, like, usually.
I mean, they
the
played well.
first-
I'll give you that.
Yeah, like, usually the first 15 minutes are the 15 minutes where the game's over against Cloud9. And that didn't work against Golden Guardians last week.
I
They,
think
they
that-
like, held their own and also had a lead moving into the mid game, and that's when they started to fall apart.
I think they're really fun. I think they have a good style. I think they're better than their record, so it's a good time to get in if you want to start fanboying Golden Guardians. I just don't agree that they have the second highest ceiling in the LCS. I would say if TSM ever figured their shit out, I would expect them to be better.
TL also,
TL, yeah.
and even EG. I feel like
Yeah,
EG
I mean,
EG
this is
has
also
their
like,
shit figured out.
this is also like an up and coming thing, right? So like they have a lot of games against like not that good teams, and I feel like if they face roll them, this momentum will bring them to have the highest. You know what I mean? As they keep going, they'll get better and better because they face Immortals this weekend, and they also face FlyQuest, which FlyQuest is going to be a hard game. And I think if they can pull it off, then they're shooting for that top half of the bracket.
yeah, but this isn't like a bicycle race down a hill. Like, momentum doesn't make you better than the teams.
Patches happen.
You get. I agree that you get a bit of a buff, right? Like you're on a win streak. The players start to feel confident. Like
People are happy. Yeah,
things are
momentum's
good.
definitely a
I don't
thing.
think it's like. And then Golden Guardians went on to destroy EG, Team Liquid, and FlyQuest to cement themselves as the second best in the league, making all Huhi haters shut up finally. You know, it's just I don't see that.
yeah.
Okay, listen here, Huhi hater. Give it time.
I
Okay.
mean, I like Huhi a lot
I'll be
personally.
back
I just
every
don't
week.
think that he should be in a supporting role on Golden Guardians if you would want them to be second place in the league. And I don't think that's a controversial statement.
I
Yeah,
also
you
think
win that
Set is his best champion that I've seen him play, and he got it that week. So I know you say you haven't watched a lot of Golden Guardians, so you can maybe just take my word for it. But that's his like signature pick so far in support.
I like
Yeah,
that because
and
it's
we're
against
also with Varus being 100% pick ban, that being FBI's best champion, it's just
Varus.
kind of not. I mean, yeah, Varus, my bad.
It's okay.
Again, Varus. You just said the same thing
I
twice.
think it's virus. It's fine.
Ugh.
Varus.
Anyway, all right. I'm not. So here's what I will say. I really hope you're right because I like Golden Guardians a lot. I like a lot of the players over there. I think it's a brand that I want to see succeed, and especially if they can succeed showing that you don't need to spend a bajillion dollars to get to success. That's good for the league.
I think they also have a generally good like appreciation for North American talent and wanting to promote people. I think they do a lot of things well. So it would be nice to see them get the W eventually. And what I really want is a playoff series win for them, which I think they can get given that there's 8 teams now. So I'm hoping that they can grab one of those.
Yeah. As I'm praising Golden Guardians, the slight delay had Hunter saying Travis is a hater in the chat, which is just not an accurate representation. I would love to see Golden Guardians succeed. I just I wish that they would also like to see Golden Guardians succeed because maybe they would make some changes to the roster. Fools, anything you want to say before we move on to a quick break?
No, this was a lot more fun than I thought, and more people should give their takes on pleb topics. And shout out to the sponsors. Thanks for having
Plenty
me
of
on.
people.
Thank you.
You can get rid
This
of
guy,
them.
this guy spams in all capitals and fire emojis and goats, and was like, "Wow, this was not what I was expecting." Like,
Yeah. It's
screams
like
to get on the show.
people do spam in pleb topics, dude. You only got on this show because I got called out by Twitch chat.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, we're gonna do a quick break to talk about Alienware, our sponsors. There's an Alienware PC right behind me. They have amazing computers. Actually, recently I heard some people say, "Hey, I'd love it if you talked about their specific products a little bit more." So we're gonna take a break to do that. If you head over to alienware.com/Travis, for instance, you can see specific examples of products that we use at Travis Gafford Industries, and we can highlight those. I love my 34-inch monitor. I use that a ton. Use the Aurora. They have AMD Auroras if you're interested in those processors. Of course, Intel stuff. They just did an update to their Auroras to include the 10th generation Intels in their laptops, that both the Area 51M and the M15, M17 got updates as well. Go check those out because they're actually really beautiful aesthetically. And again, you can find those at alienware.com/Travis. I'm going to put that link in the description below. Salim says, what level of Aurora should I get? I mean, obviously that's going to depend a lot on your budget and what you're looking to do. I mean, I'm generously able to on their behalf max out my stuff so that I can edit video and play games and all that stuff, power this 34-inch monitor or the 55-inch monitor that I have above me. That's a 4K display. So either way, go check out their stuff at alienware.com/Travis. Use Travis10 off Q2 is the code, Q2. And while we're at it, by the way, I'm going to put a link. Actually, all you need to do is !survey if you're watching live with the Twitch chat. If you are on YouTube, look in the description below. We're actually doing a brand survey for Travis Gafford Industries. And I love it if you guys can be very honest in that survey, but taking it actually helps us out a lot because we'll learn a lot about who you all are, what you think about our sponsors, things that we can do better. So I know you guys are always super generous and supportive, but don't lie when you're taking the survey because you want to be nice. But taking the survey really does help us. So thank you so much to Alienware, and again, thanks to you guys for taking the brand survey and checking it out. Mark,
Yeah.
you want to grab the next card?
Long pause. Sure.
Yeah, postal code works. That would be good. Would Alienware PCs improve the standings for Dig and IMT? I mean, they make great computers, but I don't know if anybody can. I think better decision making would perhaps help those teams out more at all levels of the company, with the players and management. Okay. Jackie sent a video of her dog watching your cat, Mark's cat. Great. All right. Aziz050 says, I bought 7 Alienware laptops after they sponsored Travis. Why not 8? I think is the question I have to ask. Is this a rebroadcast? It's really late in the night for something like this. No, East Coast wise, I mean. We always do the show late. That's part of the thing. This is not a rebroadcast, though. Little Chester 27 is returning to the show. Little Chester, where are you calling from?
Columbia, Missouri.
That's right. What do you want? You sound unhappy about that.
No, sorry, I'm studying for the bar, so I'm in the middle of a federal civil procedure lecture, so I'm riding high right now.
Great. Well, I'm glad that we could interrupt that. Are you, if you're in the middle of the lecture, are you paying attention to the show, or did you just show up for your take?
Just my take.
I don't know how I feel about that. What do you want to talk about?
So I think that TSM really made a big mistake this week when they flexed Syndra to double lift. I thought it was really interesting. I don't know if everybody watches the draft, but during the draft, you had Freak actually talking about how he thought it was silly, that there wasn't going to be a flex, that double lift would never play Syndra. And then you see, let's see, they were playing against, who were they playing against that game? I don't remember off the top of my head.
FlyQuest.
So you see FlyQuest ban mid laners, and again, Freak's like, why would they do that? It's not going to get flexed, and then of course inevitably gets flexed. Double lift plays Syndra against Mash, who's not a rookie, but is pretty close to a rookie for all intents and purposes, and does well individually, has good farm, plays pretty well, but just ultimately is not there for the team fights, doesn't get enough done, and they end up losing. And so I think by doing that, they kind of showed their hand early and gave away the fact that apparently Double Lift and the team can't play around Syndra bot very well. And so now it takes away the potential use of that flex option in future games, especially going down to like playoffs, because if they're already using bans after Syndra's been picked on mid lane, it shows that they are at least afraid of it. But now I don't think teams are going to be nearly so scared.
Travis, what do you think?
It's funny because I was like, okay, this is 100% a Mark call. This is well above my pay grade. This is why I pay you to be on the show.
This is it's going to be
answer meta questions like this.
Here's
what I think. I think it was great where he's like, Freak said this would never happen, then it happened. Then Freak said this would never happen, then it happened. Then Freak said this would never happen, and then it happened.
I would say that I pretty much 100% agree. This will be a quick take. So I'll give you your second take, actually, caller, because he had two. This is just a big agree for me. I think the ramifications of showing that early is, I mean, like maybe TSM will do it again, but I've been on teams where you do something and you lose and you kind of go, oh, let's never fucking do that again. Or even like, teams start seeing you do that and they're like, all right, we'll start leaving that open. So this could actually, to the caller's point, be something that hurts their draft a little bit more long term.
If I could use an analogy, to me, it's like using a cooldown in game. So like I play a lot of Blitzcrank, and when you use the Blitzcrank hook, it's now on cooldown. Everybody knows it is, and so people take advantage of it. So I think there are times when you're playing where it's better to hold on to that cooldown and not use it, because the risk is you're gonna miss, and if you misfire, then people can take advantage. But if you just sit on it, you can always threaten it.
Yeah.
And so I think by showing their hand now as opposed to later, especially because it was against not a rookie bot laner, but a bot laner who I think Double Lift should have been able to skill check pretty clearly and pretty easily. I think they thought that this would be an easier game for them to do it and that they would be able to show off really well. And while I do agree that Double Lift played Syndra okay, it was clear the team wasn't ready to play around that. And so it really seems like it's going to hamper their ability to flex that going forward. And I think really just was a poor choice.
Okay. You said you had another take. If you can get it out in under 30 seconds, I'll cover it.
Okay, so Evil Geniuses needs to start playing around a 7 or 8 man roster to better prepare themselves for certain matchups. I compare it to like baseball, where you have a left-handed pitcher versus a right-handed pitcher. Most teams will have slightly altered lineups depending on what pitcher you're facing, because some players play better against one than the other. I think that,
for clarity, you want Huni and Deathly to be that other 7-man roster?
Well, so if you're going to do 7 based on the current team, yes. But I also think that now that Golden Guardians has shown that they're going to stick with Demonte, I think picking up Golden Glue and using him to swap out Jizuke in certain matchups would also be beneficial. Specifically, their matchup against Cloud9, I think that Jizuke was never going to get a big enough lead in the mid lane to really matter. And so I think playing around top lane instead, and then having Golden Glue come in and play a defensive mid laner would have been a good choice. But that's why I said 7 or 8 man, depending on how they want to do it. But I think there are certain matchups where if you're not going to be able to exploit a player, one of your better players like
I think you're
Bang
over 30
or-
seconds.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
No problem.
You shouldn't have gone with the baseball analogy. Analogies are the quickest way to run out
Sorry.
of time.
I'll just say I like your arguments for the most part. I disagree with this one, but I think you made good points for it.
Well, so Kumo has been looking a lot better this split, right?
Yeah, I'd say he's been so far through the first 4 games a top 3 top laner. He's been really good. He did pick up Volibear and kind of use it and abuse it this weekend, but I mean
For
that's
all that magic damage.
Yeah, for all that E damage and his passive procs, which EU max last, and usually use just for a shield on yourself. Excuse me. But yeah, I think he's been good. To the caller's point, I think the idea makes sense that you could swap out Jizuke to play a more stable mid laner in some matchups, but I don't think that actually helps you against C9, who is like the one team that's proven to be above you. You know, maybe FlyQuest, you know, because they beat them last split. But I think the bigger problem was I put Jizuki on Kassadin to try and do like this flip play where instead of trying to contest C9's early game, they hope to be able to contain it and then outscale, which was an interesting idea. I don't think it worked out, but I thought it was an okay attempt. He was really greedy with his runes, probably covered that on broadcast. And other than the matchup versus C9, I don't know where a Golden Glue Huni lineup is better, or definitely Huni lineup is better against people. Kumo has been doing great, and I don't want to undermine him at all. So I thought your points were good, but I still disagree with them.
Do you
I think maybe if this was last split, you know, and you had that situation where you had Huni and possibly Golden Glue, then that'd feel a lot better, especially whenever Kumo and Jizuke seemed really shaky in the beginning. But it feels like this team is definitely coming into its own. And I think the biggest argument for working with these 5 players is like they have shown that they can improve and get better over time. And so I would give them as much stage time, or whatever you want to call it, as possible, because like this team would have gone to Worlds last split, could go to Worlds this split, and getting that roster as much time as possible, I think, is a good way to do it.
Yeah, I would say generally mixed rosters hurt more than they help in the LCS, and it's usually a sign that your roster is not working that you turn to that more than a sign that it is working.
But isn't it fair to say that your roster's not working if you can't take on C9 right now? I mean,
no, I think that's
depends on your goal.
I was going to say it's a bit of a false dichotomy, because it's not like this changed roster will work versus C9. So you have massive downside risk for very minor potential upside risk.
Yeah, if you're EG and you can get 3rd or 2nd and go to Worlds in your first split back, I think you take that. Maybe you're not going to get out of groups, but hey, what North American team ever does, you know? So, yeah, I think just go with it. Little Chester, I want to make sure you get back to your bar exam and go back to not watching.
Hey, for what it's worth, I always watch the VOD just when I have more free time, and I watch it in chunks as I go throughout the week. So I do watch. I've watched every episode probably for the last 16 months or so.
Most importantly, you're a sub too, right?
Actually, I was gifted a sub. I was going to say thank you. I think it was Red Rain that gifted me a sub. But yeah, I actually just got a job over the weekend finally, so now I can have real money and buy my own
to hear,
sub, I guess.
For 16 months I've been waiting for you to get that job so that you could sub. So I appreciate it.
I think there's more worthwhile things to spend that newer, hard-earned money on than Travis Gafford.
Law school's a long road.
Actually, I've got the perfect example of what you can spend it on. I don't know how long this deal is going on, but right now, The Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archive Book 1 by Brandon Sanderson, is available as an ebook on Amazon or through Tor Books on Google Play for $2.99. All right, Mark and I will. Listen. I would normally say start with Mistborn if you're going to read Brandon Sanderson, but this book is phenomenal, and if you can get it for $2.99, I was actually thinking I need to figure out how long this is going on for, because I was thinking about just buying a ton and giving them out to people. But I will, if anybody wants to not give me a sub and instead prove to me that you have purchased The Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archive Book 1 by Brandon Sanderson on ebook via Amazon or Tor books via Google Play, I will forgive you for not having a sub.
Is this some like weird activation I didn't know that we had tonight?
Dude, I would tell you if we had a sponsorship from
That's
Brandon
why I was
Sanderson.
surprised. I'm like, what are you doing right now?
I mean, wow, you're surprised that I'm promoting a Brandon Sanderson book?
No, I just meant like that was a really hard specific plug, like to the point that I'm like, does he have something on his second monitor right now? You know?
I mean, I looked it up because I saw it on Slick Deals today. I go to Slick Deals. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's like
Can we get to the next caller?
Deals website. I talk about fantasy audiobooks, and you don't want to discuss that with me?
I didn't.
I would happily accept one of those free copies you're going to give out, Travis.
Okay. Tweet.
My name's Twitter on Twitch. Yeah. I've messaged you on Twitter before, but I'll send you a message right now.
Okay, thank you.
I couldn't get through the audiobook Awakenings. I had to read the actual book. Michael Kramer, I like him, but it wasn't doing it for me in that book.
Actually, I'm going to send you a message on Discord because I don't know if people will try to scam me.
That's true. That's a good point.
Wait, this is not a audiobook. It's ebook.
Oh, I thought someone was saying audiobook deal.
I mean, the audiobook is great, but this is $3 for the ebook.
All right, let's move this along, huh?
Little Chester, thanks for the... Wait, did you have a shout out?
No, I was going to shout out Red Rain. He gifted me the sub. I don't think
that's
he's here tonight, though. It looked like I was checking in the chat, but I didn't see him.
Well, hopefully
But I
they
really
catch the
appreciate
VOD.
that.
Hopefully they catch the VOD.
I mean, as someone who watches the VODs, I understand.
Yeah. Wait, what? Anyway, thanks.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. On to the next call. Somebody says books in 2020. You could read books in 2020. I think you should know that. Can I read the ebook on the phone or on the iPhone, or do I need an e-phone? Asks Healer. Great question. You could read it on the iPhone. You don't need an e-phone. Thank you to Whistlebritches, Shiny Froky, Easymoto, Nidmo, Ferber2 for 2 years, and then Ferber2 gifted another 5 subs. Impulu is here. Impulu, where are you calling from?
I am also calling from Northern Virginia. Like the first caller.
Country Road. Take me home.
It's right outside DC.
What do you want to talk about on the... Oh, by the way, isn't it interesting that DC might become a state?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Republicans will like it.
Well, I think that they're going to vote it in the House, and then if the Democrats capture the Senate and the presidency, then they could potentially...
Jesus, I thought this was a League talk show. What is this?
Let's talk about Brandon Sanderson's second novel. No, Impulu, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about... Yeah, I think the Riot should invest a lot more in marketing to fill in the void left by the traditional sports during this quarantine. I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for esports to become mainstream.
Did you tweet this at me?
I did not.
Okay. Did you message it to me before this take?
I have not.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah, I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I haven't seen much in terms of any kind of change in marketing activity from Riot. And I'm wondering, is there... I'm sure they don't publish their marketing numbers or marketing dollar numbers, but I don't know if you all have a perspective on where they're spending their money, or if they have plans to invest more in that side.
Well, I wish Mark was here, but he's decided to leave, and instead his creature is just slowly becoming visible as this chair turns away. Anyway, all right, Mark. Hello, Mark. Okay, so the take... Wait, I can't hear you now. Did you mute yourself?
Yeah, I did, but I totally disagree. I know the take.
Okay. I
half disagree, if I'm being honest.
I kind of full disagree. Okay, so your take is that they should market to capture sports fans?
Yes.
I don't think that sports fans are going to watch LCS.
I think... Well, why do you not think so? Because I think that there are a lot of elements to esports that are just the same as traditional sports. And I mean, like, my roommates, my friends are literally just watching NBA players play like Mario Kart right now. There's nothing.
There are a lot of... You're right. There are a lot of similarities between esports and sports. But to give you the reverse of it, I like esports. I have absolutely no interest in sports. Other than going to a ball game with, I don't know, a friend or family member and sipping a
I'll give you
beer while eating a hot dog and cheering whenever something interesting happens on the big
We're going to get into the nitty gritty here, but I'll do it anyways. People in esports don't even want to watch other esports. Like the amount of shows that have been the ESPN of esports, where they cover multiple games, they all die because the attempt to capture all esports fans fails, and they actually just alienate everyone because people who like watching League don't watch CS:GO, and like League is hard to watch for them because they don't play the game, and so like traditional people who don't even play video games for the most part are going to have an even harder time understanding what's going on. Additionally, the reason they like watching those NBA players do that dumb shit is the same reason we like watching Twitch streamers and Doublelift do dumb shit, is because we're already a fan of them. It's not because they like Mario Kart, it's because they like the player. So like I disagree about marketing more to attract sports fans.
But I do, yeah, and boomers are not going to be like, oh, hey, Chuck, you know how we haven't been able to watch the ball game recently? Well, guess what? The League of Legends Championship Series is on this Saturday, and you're gonna come over. We're both gonna wear masks, and we're gonna bro out while watching.
What I was gonna say though is I would like more marketing in general. I would like more cool promos to hype League fans up in general. There's a lot of League fans out there who probably don't watch right now. I bet the player base is larger than the LCS viewership.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think there is a segment, like we're not going to obviously get everyone that likes NBA and football and all that, but all these sports, they started somewhere. And is it not true that, you know, there are young population, like those under 25, they watch more esports than they watch like traditional sports, or they play more esports than they play traditional sports? There's a huge market. And I think we're just not, Riot's not taking advantage of the opportunity.
I'm not sure how those relate.
Yeah, I think, look, to Mark's point, if you were to ask me, you know, hey, I have $100, should I market LCS to League of Legends players who don't watch LCS, or should I market it to fans of baseball or NBA that are not able to watch right now? And by the way, this stuff is starting back up again soon. I would definitely spend that money on League of Legends fans over sports fans who haven't perhaps ever played the game.
Or using that money to get more people into League of Legends as a whole, like actually run. I mean, they've done this more recently, but in the past
they've spent a lot in the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah, but in the past they hadn't marketed towards gamers at all to get people who play games interested in League. But they've changed that recently. But yeah, I'm down with marketing. I like marketing. I just think you have to be smart about it. And I don't think traditional sports fans are particularly interested in esports. You can get them interested, but it's not through an ad. Like my dad's interested now because I work in esports, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of watch the games." But that's a pretty. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can.
Who's your dad's favorite team?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Team Liquid.
The other thing that, since we're talking about marketing, is I really want to see Riot, when they do this content, focus more on the human component of the competition. Like, for example, I wasn't a big fan at all of the hype video that came out for the LCS. Like, what I really want to see is, you know, like the players celebrating when they're winning the championship, or like them crying, or you know, the crazy plays, you know, things like that. That really gets me hyped up, and not the. I almost feel like I was watching Saturday morning cartoons when I saw that hype video.
I know what you mean. I can understand that video not being for everyone. I liked it. I thought it was cute and cool. One thing to keep in mind is that we're in a global pandemic and we can't make players show up for a video shoot. I mean, maybe technically we could, but it's not really.
Yeah, I think that the lazy approach would have been using a bunch of B-roll of players winning in the past. And by the way, oftentimes it's awkward because those rosters have shuffled, right? Like, are you going to show TL winning whenever Doublelift isn't on the team anymore? So I think it's a difficult thing there. I think animated. I actually, as you were talking, an interesting take on the. And by the way, I really liked the hype video. I thought it was really cool, and it was cool to see them do something different. But what would have been really fun is if they did a take where they acknowledge that all these players are playing in like their homes or facilities or something, and you're going from team to team as they're all like figuring out their stuff during this time. I think that could have also been kind of cool. That's a huge tangent.
Let's just say we might make some stuff related to more like the at-homey feel.
I love my homies. All right.
The at-home hyphen E.
You said homie.
Whatever. Yeah.
I have another last question.
Okay.
Do you know what the numbers are for viewership since the pandemic started?
I mean, you can pull them from public sources. I don't have them on hand. I know that they said that their opening weekend was the first one, or was the best that it's been.
Yeah, I saw that article, but I just don't know like how's the trajectory over the last several months.
I mean, over the last several years, it's decreased, but and I think spring split towards the end for whatever reason was pretty disappointing. But supposedly summer looked really good, and I don't know enough about week 2.
I can't say for sure. I did hear, because I was talking to some people, like I said, internally about sharing the positives. I did hear that a lot of the public ones are kind of jank and are not super close, and you could kind of see that in what they report. I think I'm going to get the numbers somewhat wrong here, but like I think LCS reported that they had 380,000 this peak, and the esports chart reported like 310 or 320. So somewhere there's a disconnect, and I don't know how either Riot or these third parties get their numbers, but there is a disconnect there. The other thing I was going to say is I forget. Oh, viewership being down. Yes, I think it is, because the dive and a lot of our content has not been getting quite as much viewership. Some still has, but I've noticed that like the at-home vibe is somewhat not. You can just tell it's not the same level, and that seems to be turning some people off. It would appear, because
I mean, I think a lot of my viewership has also been down, and I think across the board I've seen a lot of it down. So I don't know. It might be just honestly, it might be less interest in the broadcast, and the product, right? Like there are. The only one of the biggest concerns I have, like I think it's really important to be constructive, and I have been doing a lot to cover this conversation around where the LCS broadcast is on this show, on my own video. I did an interview with Shocks, but I do also worry about like when everyone is just hardcore shitting on the broadcast, it's kind of anti-marketing for the product that everybody's on. So it's like, like our Double If fans, after reading Double If's take on the broadcast, going to be really hyped to tune into the LCS broadcast this coming weekend. You know, it's a weird catch-22, I think, where it's like you want to be able to critically address it without damaging the product so much that like it discourages Riot to invest into it.
All right, I'm going to rattle off some numbers real quick. In studio dive, 132,000 views. In studio dive, 129,000 views. In studio dive, 133,000 views. Is this one in studio? No, out of studio view, 97,000. Out of studio, 94,000. Out of studio, 80,000. 74,000. This
it's
one was
trending down.
Yeah, the one where Double If went to TSM, 170,000 views. But then 100,000 again, 75,000. There's just overall, for whatever reason, with the and the dive has consistently gotten over 100,000 views, even when it was with me and not Jat, and we were in studio for like the last year. It's always
important
been
to note that they don't live stream that show because they're cowards and they edit it, unlike this show. So when you compare the dive viewership, it looks like it's way higher, but you have to remember they don't have a live component like Hotline League because they're cowards. So it's just important whenever you're looking at the VOD viewership for both these products, you know?
Yeah, and it's no way that it's just a better product. I mean, with more engaging personalities, even though one of the personalities is shared, even though one of the personalities is on both.
Yeah, Mark is on both, so we don't need to do that. But then you could just be like, it's just that show is literally just Kobe being like, yeah, and I really think that this is going to be an exciting time for this. And then Azale goes, yeah, I totally agree with you, and I really think we should. It's important to talk about. It's just it's the same thing. It's just so easy. I could do that show.
Do you want to take Kobe's spot one week and see if anyone notices?
I think some producers at Riot would notice. Perhaps they'd be like, isn't that guy that made that video somewhat critical of my professional work? I think that's what would happen there.
We're pretty off topic, aren't we?
All I'm saying is fuck the dive and long live Hotline League. Kobe's gone right now, so I could safely say this without worrying that he's gonna exact some sort of roommate revenge.
There's no way that he would ever find out about this because it's not live streamed and clippable and shareable. And I'm sure no one has just clipped that and sent it to Kobe on Twitter. I doubt any of the 1,500 people would do that.
You're not helping.
Why has Kobe never been on your show? Or since I've been watching, I haven't seen Kobe on your show.
On this show, he's been on.
Travis blacklists everybody. He blacklists Papa Smithy. He blacklists Ovely. He blacklists Kobe. All these, edgy people who we just can't risk having on here.
I think you should definitely go join a dive as a guest. Kobe should come on this show as a guest.
Impulu, is there anything you want to say at the end?
No, just that I watch your show every week. Great show.
Thank you. I breathe. I want to. That's a quote. I watch the show every week. ... Great show. It's the best review we've ever gotten. Thanks for the call.
I watch this show every week. I'm pretty bored.
All right. We'll take one more call, then we'll do a quick break.
All right.
Okay, where are we? Nebula592, thank you for the Prime. Fish and Molson, thank you for gifting a sub to Kapow, Twitch staff. Tafokins with 3 months with Prime. And Sanchicho, thank you for the 6 months. Hey, if everyone is watching right now, everyone on desktop, or actually Mark's here, the TheGreatClockwyrm is here. TheGreatClockwyrm. Wait, have you been on before?
I have not. This is my first show, and I'm a long-time listener, and I just saw you.
You would totally remember the TheGreatClockwyrm as a name.
Well, that's why it's like the name seems so dramatic that it made me.
I used to be a moderator for the forums for Vainglory, which
that's how I know you.
Yeah,
I spend a lot of time on the Vainglory forums.
Okay, yeah, I used to be one of the moderators there, and I used to go into the lore and stuff. That's where Medic came from, so it's a reference to that.
I actually, what was your rating? Did you ever get to what was it called when you were top 100 or top 200? Top 200.
I definitely got higher in Vainglory than I did in League. That's all I'll say. But I mean, I got
Vainglorious.
I used to main Crawl and Celeste. I used to main Crawl and Celeste. Celeste is the name of my cat. I named my cat Celeste. So.
Oh man, yeah, I was all about Celeste. Big fan.
Yeah, she's fun. Great character design. I'm sorry it died, but yeah. Anyways, League of Legends.
What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how I think that the top 4 teams in the league, which I think uncontroversially are Cloud9, Evil Geniuses, FlyQuest, and Team Liquid right now. You can tell that the way these teams are run, the people in their management, the way they're branding, the way they're building up their players, that reflects on why they're dominant in the league. And
sorry,
why
did you say CLG when you said that?
No, I did not say CLG.
Because they are the CLG is in that stand. Like right now, we have 4 teams that are 3-1. You named 3 of them.
I would defer to what I'm pretty sure Captain Flowers said over the broadcast this weekend, that CLG got a cupcake schedule and how they're about to go into a more difficult schedule. So I would
stop
be
derailing the caller. All right, this is
just it's a fair question. All right, sorry, continue.
It's true. It's CLG for the win, but yeah, and I just want to talk about how I think that the bottom 5 teams and bottom 6 teams right now really don't benefit from the same things that these top 4 teams are. And so I was thinking, and I was like, well, what are the 4 teams? And I can name their CEO, and it's Jack, Steve, Trisha, and Nicole. And I think that they do a really good job, and they're building up players. They're taking risks. So, for example, Team Liquid brought in Tactical. That was a big risk. You're filling the shoes of the greatest player arguably in North American League of Legends, and he's killing it. And I mean, Evil Geniuses brought in Jizuke, who a lot of European fans are calling washed, and he's, I think, technically the best mechanical mid laner we have in our league. FlyQuest obviously has a lot of veterans on their squad, but they're cohesive and they're playing well together. And Cloud9, obviously, they got in Vulcan, they're bringing in Blabber and Licorice, these really strong North American talents, and they're smashing people. They're the most dominant team we've ever seen. And so I think that what these teams are doing, as opposed to what I don't want to flame too hard, but what Dignitas is doing, or what 100 Thieves are doing, or what Immortals are doing, Jesus Christ, it's a dumpster fire, and it makes me sad to watch it. And I think that we have a big mismanagement, mismatch between.
You don't know who runs
teams.
100 Thieves?
Nate shot, but I mean, I follow esports. I don't know if like an LCS only fan would be able to do that. But
I mean, I think he's. I mean, admittedly, he hasn't been around as much recently.
Yeah. And then, I
but
mean,
I think a lot
everyone
of people
can name-
who wouldn't
yeah,
say would be Papa Smithy, who I think is pretty.
Yeah,
well-known.
exactly. They would, and I mean, people know who Lena is, but that's not necessarily for a good reason. So, I mean, hey,
I think so. You're kind of making two different points, right? Which is,
yeah, it's a little
these teams
broad,
are
yeah.
making good decisions with their roster,
Mhm.
and also you know who the people are that are running these teams. But I don't really see how these two things are linked, right? Like,
I'm saying that like when I hear about like what C9 is, like I saw Jack was in the chat, and I just want to like commend what he's doing, what Reaper's doing, and what all the people there are doing.
all right,
Like
he doesn't need.
like I'm a C9 fan, so oblige me a little bit. But I think that like I hear these things like I think you've talked about this on the show with some callers. Like they get up early and they exercise. I mean, they like read and things like that. I mean, what Evil Genius is doing. Evil Genius has had a really rough start, I would say, in Spring Split. Like Bang obviously seemed like he was very dissatisfied. Sven seemed like he was a little dissatisfied, and obviously they got things together. I mean, FlyQuest is a great example because FlyQuest obviously had probably the greatest branding turn in like Western League of Legends, I would argue. I mean, they're obviously seeing their popularity increase. Trish is doing a great job. I mean, I think Power of Evil and Ignar and Santorin especially have looked revitalized. Whereas I think my point would be more like maybe me personally doesn't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but obviously it's different than what other teams are doing.
So maybe you are excited because you see these teams. They seem transparent and good at communicating their goals and their vision.
Yes.
And then you see that stuff play out on broadcast, and that feels good to you.
And it's not manifesting in other teams like 100 Thieves, who took risks on rookies and also brought in veteran talent, or Immortals, obviously, who are making very, I would argue, questionable decisions that the whole community doesn't understand.
I mean, I think
and
so I would agree that Big and Immortals, it's hard to understand what's going on there, but I think 100 Thieves has like a story that they have communicated. We just use them as an example, right?
Yeah.
They're not included in your list. They have a story that they've communicated, and like a goal and an understanding of what their strategy is, I think, is out there. And they have the public persona and Papa Smithy to communicate that. They're just not finding the success that some of the other teams are, right? So
and they found that success like in spring, kind of. I mean, they were second regular season. They did have a good showing in playoffs.
Sure,
I would say,
but my point is
that
like
heartbreaker, but it's not working now, and that would make me wonder like, well, why is it that Meteos, Ryoma, Stun are performing poorly or something like that you see in these games, and it's like, is this reflected?
I just worry you're kind of, as respectfully as I can, you're kind of all over the place, I think, in your take on why these teams are doing well, right? Like,
well, these teams are doing well because I mean, I think that 100 Thieves took a risk, and I would say it like paid off sort of in spring, and then right now it's not paying off. And they have had a hard schedule, but like they were looking abysmal versus everyone that wasn't CLG.
But or
Immortals rather, sorry.
So what I'd say is like, it feels like you're saying the teams that are doing well, and the teams that are doing bad are doing bad. And that's not really analysis of anything. That's just stating it. And
I would say that the four teams I referred to, I feel like it's not just the quality of the players they bring, because like, no one would deny that like, Jizuke or Blabber or Power of Evil are like just great players of good caliber. It's like what these teams are doing with like their branding and like taking risks, and these risks worked, and then they're making another one, like when they brought in Solo, or like I think Kubo has looked revitalized since they put Huni on his back. So I mean, I think that the bottom teams took risks and they didn't work, or they're not taking risks and it's just still not working.
Yeah, but I mean, like a team like 100 Thieves, just go back to them. They did take a risk, and it did sort of work, and now it's not sort of working. And I don't think they changed anything public facing, but you're suddenly flip flopped on them. And on the other hand, CLG sucked in spring. And they haven't changed anything either public facing really, and now they're 3-1 and they're doing well, and like you're not including them under the orgs that, if we're talking about like brand and presence and stuff like that.
I mean, when
CLG, they were pretty terrible with their Minnesota style garbage shit. And like I still don't know what's CLG pushing for me, like I still couldn't tell you. And I watched Immortals, and like they were like, I don't think much changed from spring to summer in terms of these teams doing anything different.
I mean, if we want to use CLG as an example, like who has CLG played, and then who have they lost to? And they got perfect gamed by a top team when they lost to, and they beat Immortals, Golden Guardians.
They have more wins already. They had the same amount of wins this split than they had last split.
I would say personally, I'm not optimistic on them though, because they played one good team, or like, consistent top tier team, and they got like very infamously like rolled.
Sorry, in a single sentence, can you help me out? Because I don't even know really what we're talking about anymore.
Yeah,
in a single sentence, can you provide me with your take?
Yeah, my take is that the four top teams, at least how I perceive, and I doubt that there would be much arguments, Cloud9, Evil Geniuses, FlyQuest, and Team Liquid, they have very evidently strong infrastructure, branding, and like strengths going for them other than the quality of their players. And then that on top of it is enabling them to succeed.
Okay. That's a very long sentence, but I'll allow it.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. So let's hone in on the take then. Mark, do you think that these four teams are finding success because they have better infrastructure, branding, and I forget the other term that you used, but is it
besides simply the
structure? Is it the resources that their company is bringing and the organization is bringing that is allowing these teams to find success?
So it's hard for me to say on the outside. I can kind of agree with the caller somewhat, where at least, I mean, C9 has always kind of done their thing. I don't think they've really changed much for this year. They just hit a really strong roster and made good roster decisions, but that's just one facet of being a popular team. FlyQuest and EG had really strong branding pushes. They started putting their CEO out there, which were parts of your take that I liked, where you don't see Dig doing it. Immortals kind of does it, but their content's so bland. Like, I tried to watch their decision around their starting roster. It was complete garbage. So like, I think you have some element of truth here, but I'm
not explaining well. I mean, I can see that in
because like, I do think the top four teams for the most part do a good job of making roster decisions, communicating them, engaging with the community, being active with a kind of cohesive vision that some of the other ones are not doing. But I think you're also getting like performance mixed up in that a little bit too much.
And the other half of my take that I didn't really mention is that like this is somewhat evidence of that, like franchising isn't working the way I think the initial push was. That was what I wrote in Discord, at least. And that there has been, I've seen some talk like on Twitter and Reddit about how like, franchising was initially supposed to be that like, oh, teams are established so they feel free to take more risks. But I see like some of our bottom teams, like they seem risk averse or something like that, or like they're just making bad decisions.
Running Hootie in the bot lane. I don't know what you're saying there. Risk adverse. That's the.
I mean, but like, is Hootie exactly like some bold rookie support who like they feel confident, like, hey, if this might not work out, we still have our spot in the league.
I'm not sure where to go with this at this point in time.
How about this, Travis? Do you like franchising or not?
I like franchising. I had a tweet that popped off the first week after CLG got perfected where I said CLG makes a good argument for relegation.
That is true.
And I had to walk it back this past weekend after they're now 3-1. But I like franchising. I think if the discussion is a team that is well run will perform well, I think that's like by the way, I don't just mean like the team itself. I mean, I would say C9, EG, TL, now more FlyQuest. Like these teams are very clearly well run across the board, and it does not surprise me that they are doing well. Whereas like Immortals and Dignitas, I think, I don't know why, but they seem to be having a lot of issues this year.
Yeah.
As a company, as an entity, and it does not, and that is reflected not only in like the standing of their brand and like people's understanding of what's going on with those teams, as well, but also in the success that they're having or not having. And it's a little disappointing to me, especially with Dig, because I felt like they seemed like they had a clearer vision, and Prindiville was really around when they were doing clutch and stuff, and so it's just kind of weird. Either way, is there anything that you want to say here at the end of the call, Clockwyrm?
I don't know. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. It's been great talking, If I'm sorry if it was a little confusing.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I think you came.
It's
in
a big
with like
topic. Yeah, it's a.
It is like a big
yeah.
topic, and it's difficult. And the situation, I think, my only feedback for you would be like, you need the thesis statement for your essay, and I think that's where that would help us a little bit next time. But either way, hope you come back on the show, Clockwyrm, and I really appreciate you calling in.
Buff Tom Kench. That's all I gotta say.
Have a good one.
I'm a Tom Kench man.
I can.
Bye.
Yeah. All right. You okay, Mark?
Sometimes you see a take and like it's interesting, and you're hoping there's like, it's like the tip of the iceberg, and then you find out it's just like a little piece of ice.
I mean, I think there was a big take there. It was just difficult, I think, for it to get conveyed.
Yeah, because like he said, his take included like talking about franchising. So I was like, ooh, this is gonna be.
Yeah.
And then we didn't even talk about franchising for the first like 5 to 10 minutes of it. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, look.
Oh well, we'll find out how this next one goes.
And you know what, Mark? Oh, wait, Mark, we have a break. We have a
Do you
break
need for it?
No, I don't need you for it, but I just wanted to make sure you didn't bust in.
I was about to bust in, so thank you.
Okay, yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second part of the show where I throw up the draft buff icon. There we go. And we talk about draft buff. So draft buff is an amazing fantasy app that is completely free, does not require you to pay any money to compete in it. And right now you can do !fantasy to join up in our draft royale for week 3. I'm going to join it right now on stream because actually no, I'm not going to finish filling out the league. I'd be too distracted. But we've been doing this for the past 2 weeks. Last week I finished 893rd out of 1764, which was a little rough. But they do these draft royales, which are, for the weekend, and you can join up and do that. They also do leagues where if you want to, with some friends or some people that you meet through the app, draft a team that will transcend the entire season or split, then you can do that as well. It's been fantastic working with them, and it's been really cool to see so many of you guys sign up. In fact, in the brand survey, I've noticed a lot of people have been saying that they've been enjoying draft buff or they want to work more with them. So I just want to give a big shout out to them. If you're watching the YouTube video, link is in the description to join up with this week's Draft Royale. That's helpful for us. Go check them out. You can use Travis Gafford is the referral code. That'll get you some bananas, which you can use to get a cosmetic item in the game or in the app. Either way, thanks so much to Draft Buff for sponsoring the show. It's been a pleasure working with them. And unfortunately, this is our last show because we were doing a big push for the start of the split with them. But I think they really liked working with me. And a lot of that, I think, is because of the love they saw from you guys. Hopefully, we'll get to work with them some more, maybe around Worlds or playoffs or something. But either way, thanks so much, Draft Buff, for sponsoring. They've been great to work with. Jack says he's in Draft Buff. So that's great.
I love anything that lets me prove I'm better than Travis, and I was able to do that with Draft Buff. So it's dope.
True. All right. Anyway, grab the next caller. Raz and Jack both shouting out draft buff. Raz, you should draft. You could probably draft the whole Golden Guardians team and have a ton of money left over. You should do that. Yeah, draft buff, by the way, hangs out in Twitch chat during these shows. So if you guys have any questions about them or what they do, you should definitely ask them, talk to them in the chat. Really appreciate them doing that. Don't worry, Travis, just do a math competition. You'll do better than Mark. That's true. He did struggle with that earlier. Wait. Oh, Jack is...
You under the bridge, dude.
Hello, FreeBuju. FreeBuju, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Grenada. Well, actually Trinidad, currently.
What just happened?
Yeah. Did you just move around? Wait,
what happened to our Discord? Does it look
Hello?
whack to you?
No, Discord looks completely normal to me.
What
Sorry,
button did I click
FreeBuju.
on my Discord?
Mark is having some sort of...
I don't know what just
problem.
happened. It just looks terrible all of a sudden.
So either way, sorry, you're calling from Trinidad. That's awesome.
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
Well, this is our first time getting a caller, I think, from Trinidad. What's it like in Trinidad?
Well, the Sahara dust is kind of blowing over the island right now, so the visibility is super poor.
I heard
really-
about that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Has this
Pretty hard.
happened before? Is this a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing. It happens kind of all the time, to be honest. It's not even a big thing anymore, at least not to me.
I mean, it's gotten more coverage, I feel like, than it normally does. Mark, do you know about this? Dust from the Saharan desert travels across the entire ocean and goes into the Caribbean.
I did not know that.
And you can see it like in satellite photography. People should go Google this. It's fascinating. Sorry. Anyway, FreeBuju.
Pull it up.
What do you want to talk about on the show?
Well, I have 3 takes. The first one is probably the spiciest one. The second one is probably normal, and the last one is kind of cold.
We'll see how many we get to.
We'll see how many we get through. Give me the spicy one.
The first one. I think the top LCS teams are at the same level as the top LEC, LPL, and LCK teams.
See,
okay, give me the second one because I'm not ready. I'm not ready for what's going to happen now.
We have to do that one. Are you kidding me?
I've heard that it's warm in the Caribbean. I did not realize how warm. All right. Anyway, sorry. So what?
Give us the second one.
Explain.
How about you give Travis the second one to see if he's more comfortable talking about that one?
Okay. The second one is that I think C9, TL, and EG is probably going to make worlds. I have like EG slotted for TSM if they could fix their draft, but I don't think that's happening. So yeah, C9, TL, and EG.
See, the first.
I don't think FlyQuest is good enough right now.
Yeah, the first one's way more interesting.
The first take is so spicy. Let's see the first one.
Okay, explain to me why you think the top teams across every region are all even.
I have one question too to prime you. Define top teams. Is it C9 and no one else, or are you including EG and TL in your top teams?
So, in my opinion, in top teams for LCS right now, I'm including just C9 and EG. Okay. I think TL could be there, but they're looking shaky sometimes, so I'm not sure.
We think FlyQuest is worse than EG?
I think against the top teams in other regions, I believe EG will perform better than FlyQuest.
Okay. So C9 and EG are as good as the top two for the other regions. Okay, so continue.
Right. So just a little background. I watch a lot of leagues. So in my opinion, I don't think I'm going to count G2 and Fnatic as the best teams in LEC. Currently counting Top, and I don't really want to count FunPlus, but I guess Top and FunPlus Phoenix as the best teams in LPL. LCK, just gonna have to go with SKT. I can't remember the second team I even cared for in
DRX.
Yeah, they're okay. Yeah, I guess so. So in my humble opinion, right, I've been looking at a couple of the LCK games, even from last season, and I really don't think they look that good. All the criticisms I tend to see of NA teams, which is that we have poor macro and then there's weird drafts, I see the same issues in the LCK. So they don't look very good to me. And you can say maybe the LEC and the LPL are better, but I've also seen some very, very, very poor LPL games. I've seen top esports win games that they 100% should have lost, where the teams just have a lead and they just throw it away, fighting when they don't need to fight, or someone is split pushing in a lane by themselves while the entire team is trying to fight at the Drake. And in the LEC, it's more G2 looks a little bit inconsistent right now. It could be just because they were swapped again, and Fnatic looks like they're still trying to find that thing that makes Reckless pop off. So that's my opinion on it.
All right. So I don't watch enough of the other leagues to know. Although I've watched a lot of international League of Legends over the years.
I should point out, I don't want to cut you off, but I should point out that I'm not biased in it because I'm not American. I don't really have anything for America. I don't even like the NA server. I don't play League of Legends on the NA server, so I'm not really biased in it. I actually think LEC is probably the best league in the world, but I don't think their teams are way better than the than LCS. Like I think everyone else makes it seem.
What server do you play on?
I don't tell anyone this, but I play on LAN.
What are we not supposed to tell someone that? I don't know. I don't know what
because I think according to the Rise official region selection, I'm supposed to play on NA, but the ping is like 7 times the ping on LAN for me. So
okay, you know we're broadcasting live to.
No one, just don't ask for his summer name.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
All right, so Travis, are you gonna say something first?
Oh, actually? I was just gonna say I'm hoping Papa Smithy and Raz share. Raz was saying I love this guy, but I'd love it if in Twitch chat and we can read it out. If they have any opinions on this take. But Mark, go ahead.
All right. So first off, I love the caller. I love the optimism. I like the points that you're making. I wish I could be as optimistic. I just can't be. There's too many times I've been optimistic and hurt before. How long have you been watching? Because you watch a lot, but how long have you been watching?
I've started watching since I want to say spring 2018. Was it?
Okay, so you're relatively new to the heartbreak, and 2018, 2019 was some of our best years. So you've actually been to some of the high points in North America. Let me tell you, it's not always. It's a lot of 2019 worlds. We've had a lot of those ones before. So on that point, I think some of the things you're noticing about the other regions, I don't think you're wrong. Like a lot of people talk about LPL having some of the less setup than some other regions, whereas LCK is very setup focused. LAC can be a little bit more, depending on the team you're watching. Like Origin's a lot more than say G2. G2 in some of their interviews, Yankos was talking about how like they're not trying to peak right now, and I think it's a very understandable position for a team that will have long splits because they're always doing well, and they don't want to turbo grind right now. They'll do it later. So like there is probably a lower level of play you're seeing out of them early in the season. I would say Fnatic seems to be experimenting with their Soraka drafts and some of this stuff. LPL, like you're talking about, some of these like crazy fights, that's kind of frequently happening. They've leveled up their macro and stuff a lot more, and I wouldn't even say it's like wrong. They're just down to skill check and fight a lot more often than some other teams will, where the question they'll ask will be like, well, what are we fighting over? I think that's a question that's asked a lot less in the LPL and stuff. And it's just their play style. And I don't think it's inherently wrong if you can win those, random fights, you're just getting gold, right? And I think that's kind of their mindset for a lot of that stuff is they want to take fights. So I think you've done a good job of noticing these differences. And depending on the skill level, these LPL fights that are kind of dumb and over nothing, that's still true, but those players are executing them way better than North American players would in a similar situation. So I hear you. I want you to be right. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe North America's at the same level. I think C9 is really good. I think that they can go toe-to-toe with most of the other regions. Some of the top teams from like China and LEC would give them a really good run for their money and probably beat C9. But I think, against some of the tier 2-ish teams from other regions, C9 would do fine. But yeah, it's a spicy take. I got to give you that.
Raz in chat says C9 can contest internationally for sure, but that's where it ends. So
I think slight counterpoint is, and take this with a grain of salt because I'm not the best or the most mechanically skilled player in the world. But I think a lot of the skill checking the LPL does is based on, at least when it comes to when they play international competitions versus NA teams. I see NA teams that how do I put it this way? You do something very simply when you're playing the LCS, and then on the big stage, or at least in Worlds, they do this like the exact same maneuver. Nothing's different, but they just mess up.
Like
and I think a lot of that comes down because of the years before, as Mark was saying. There's been a lot of years where NA has just been getting stomped by everyone else. And I think it kind of is become like ingrained in a lot of the players' mentality that they're not good enough. And I honestly think that if a lot of them stop feeling that way, they would actually play a lot better. I want to use the example of when was it Juzuka on the team?
For Vitality
in 2018 Worlds, when they weren't the best team, they weren't even very good in Europe, right? But they did decently in Worlds. I mean, they didn't make the two groups, but they did decently in Worlds. They challenged the two teams that went to the finals, right?
Yeah.
I think that is a showing of how your mentality can change a lot of how well you play on the international stage. I don't think that Vitality is even close to I don't think Vitality is close to where C9 is now. And I think people will believe that C9 can challenge the others or off. I also think EG is better than Vitality was back then. And I think EG has a lot of room to improve, and I think they'll just continue to get better and better because they have very skilled players. I think TR has very skilled players too, but just, again, they need that time to ramp up. And I think EG just on a higher point right now.
I was about
really
to say,
like this is the good vibes caller. I like this a lot.
So I was going to say, actually, when you talked about EG previously, I got caught up in the other points. But yeah, Jizuke and just the general willingness of this team to seemingly try things and fight and not be passive will be good for them when they go international. And I think they have the right combination of players for that from the domestic side, where Kuma was relatively fresh. Zazel has played at a high level before. Jizuke has, Svenskeren has, so they've all done really well. So I totally agree that I don't think EG skill level is quite there, maybe, but they will be a good mindset team for international play, which I don't always feel is true. And I actually totally agree with your point about North America getting in their own minds. If there's some great articles that came out around 2016 Worlds TSM, I believe it might have been 2017, where they talked about like the team environment and how tense it got. And like you saw Ole mentally boom on TL before. And so like that's absolutely a true point that I think sometimes gets discredited when North America plays bad, is like, oh, that's just our level. I do think there is a portion of it. I do think we're a lower level than the other regions, than the other top four, which I would stand by. But I do think that we do even worse sometimes from that thing. And I read an article on the Players Tribune from Kuroki, who is a captain of Team Liquid's Dota team back then. And he talked about how like they were playing really bad. They lost in the upper bracket, and he had a meeting with his players in the bathroom before a match where they just screamed their heads off and just like got all the tension out. And then they ran the lower bracket, and like they had a leader there to get them out of this funk and these like nerves and this like look of like wide-eyed horror that they were in. And then when Doublelift lost, he also had a Players Tribune article, and it was almost like our team environment was the exact same way, and we didn't have anyone to get us out of it when things started to go bad. So I thought those two articles came out relatively close together, and it was really eye-opening to read like some of these things that are going wrong is not just skill level or draft. It's also sometimes, like you're saying, this stress and
this is how
nerves.
I know you'd be on a top 4 team in the LCS, Mark, because you read. That's what I'm realizing.
Yeah, I read.
Well, that was what the last caller said. He listed reading as one of the good activities. FreeBuju, I think this is a really great call. I really appreciate the
best one
take.
of the night.
Yeah. What was your coldest take? Because you gave us your medium. I'm curious.
My coldest take was that I don't know how people watch the broadcast, but Tushar, I think Mark is Tushar's favorite analyst, because in every single broadcast they're just spamming Mark's name, literally constantly.
It's because they're saying he's high.
So what?
It still means that they're reacting the most the same way like LEC, everyone reacts to Ender, because Ender is their favorite caster. They constantly react to him, even though it's not really because they think he's the best caster. They just like him. And I think.
Hey, I agree with your analysis now. I agree.
Mark's not the best caster. They're just like fucking with him the most.
Yes, yeah.
So I have noticed this. So we have this thing which is basically like the script and what elements are coming next. And I put it on my second monitor, and we also have Discord open for talking. And sometimes we'll type in Discord to be like, "Hey, I want to talk next." Or you hear that?
Yes.
Holy shit. So I'm frequently looking at my second monitor. I probably do it too much, and I should be looking at the camera more, but I tend to let my eyes drift over. In Twitch chat is always convinced I'm watching Twitch chat, and I'm usually not. 90% of the time, my eyes are over here. Everyone's spamming, hold it in, Mark Z. Don't look, don't laugh, all this stuff. And I'm like not looking, and like the segment will end, and I'll go back and rewatch it, and then like I'll see the entire time people were thinking I was watching Twitch chat.
Speaking of Twitch chat, I was thinking about bringing this up. I don't want to turn it into a thing, but on Friday night during the analyst desk, for multiple minutes, people were spamming "spam this tree to bring back Avali" with like the Christmas tree emote. And by the way, like I had never seen Twitch chat so united in a single thing. It was like every now and then you would see somebody not type it, but the vast majority of the entire Twitch chat was spamming that. And then the mods made it a banned phrase, and it timed out everybody who was spamming it. And I was like, "Oh, that's one way of dealing with it." Anyway, FreeBuju, any final thoughts before we move on to our final caller?
I know this might make Tushar dislike me, but as Mark was bringing up, that I think Dota is an interesting show of how NA could actually be decent sometimes. Because, well, actually Europe still dominates in Dota as well, but I used to watch Dota esports a lot more before. I watch a lot of different esports now. And you can see in different esports that the teams are more willing to to believe they're on even footing. Whereas I feel like in League of Legends, there's this mentality that the Korean or Asian players are just better than everyone else, and no one really wants to try anymore. So yeah, I just hope that NA as a region can start trying better. I honestly, I mean, I think the pros are trying, but the mentality is not there. And I think solo queue is a big problem because everyone in solo queue just thinks it's a joke. So yeah, do better in
It's
solo queue.
definitely that's not the type of thing that's gonna make Twitch chat dislike you. I feel like that's like Twitch chat bait. They're like, yeah.
No, well, I
NA
said
should
Dota.
triple you in
More like
solo.
League of Legends. Twitch hates Dota, so that's why I thought.
They're okay. I make more fun of Dota than I think they do. FreeBuju, I hate to let you go because you've actually been one of our most entertaining callers in a while. All I'm going to say is I really hope that LCS or Worlds comes to Trinidad soon. I don't think it's going to, but it would be great to meet you. And hopefully you can call it. Hopefully you can call in the future again. Is there anything you would like to say? Any shout outs before we go to our final caller? Or you said the Dota thing, I guess.
The person who introduced me to League of Legends, Yari, he's the person that brought me into League of Legends. Before that, I was not into the game at all. So
Nice.
yeah, shout him out.
Well, thank you so much for the call.
Yeah, this was awesome.
All right, on to our final caller. Insulin shots, thank you for the prime. Razoplasm gifted a sub to This Man is High as Fuck. Skyward Spin, Always Salty, Sanchicho, Boba Cola, The Real Fox Shroud, almost done. Okie Dokie, and Raz gifted a sub to Mark is Shit. All right, bluejay, what do you want to talk about? Or sorry, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Sarnia, Ontario.
From Ontario, Canada.
Yes.
You've called in multiple times.
Yep.
I've asked
try to
you
call
about,
in every week.
Yes. I don't, and now YouTube comments are going to flame Mark for pulling the same people. So you better have a good.
You
take.
do your best. This is Travis's thing.
Oh,
now.
they can relax. I haven't been on the show in a few weeks. They'll be fine.
You said you call in every week.
I try to call in every week.
Travis, this is your thing now, is to try and deflect all blame from comments off you. So you're like, oh God, Mark, did you guys know this guy's been on before? Huh? Why don't you talk about that in the comments? Huh?
Just so you guys know, if you don't like the shirt I'm wearing, Mark actually selects the wardrobe for this show. So any issue you're seeing with this show is Mark's. bluejay, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about how CLG is overrated. I don't think they're a good team, and I think they're about to go on a long losing streak. I think their last chance at a win for the first half of this split is against 100 Thieves, and if they don't win that game, they're in for an even longer losing streak.
So they play 100 Thieves on Saturday, and then after that they play...
I think they play on Friday, though.
Oh, they play Friday. Sorry, yeah. They play FlyQuest on Friday, on Flyday. And then on Saturday, they play 100 Thieves, then C9, TSM.
It's like all the good teams. You name a good team, they're playing.
Team Liquid,
it's like TL, EG.
Yeah, they do have a rough remaining half of the split. Okay, so you think they're not good? I mean, okay, go ahead.
I could maybe say that they're a little bit better than last split, although nothing that I've seen really proves to me like they found like the problem and they've solved it. Like some of these wins are just throws from the other team. Like I think they should have lost to Immortals. However, Immortals is Immortals. And I don't think that they're looking good in any particular role. There's nothing to me that's standing out that says, yes, I believe this team has a win. What's the word?
Win condition?
Damn it. Win condition, thank you. I don't see many win conditions from either of their players.
Okay. If you say that they're overrated, they're about to go on a loss streak, where would you, maybe I missed this, where would you put them in the power rankings exactly?
Yeah, so before the season started, I think I had them either 9th or 10th, which I think was reasonable. However, we have seen Immortals and Dignitas prove that, yes, there is even worse than CLG. So right now, I have them finishing either 7th or 8th. I don't remember where I did my updated power rankings, but I still think if they were on the old playoff format, they wouldn't make playoffs. So 7-8 range.
Wow. I don't necessarily think you're wrong with everything you said about concerns about consistent win conditions and some of this stuff, but I think they're better than you're giving them credit for. At least right now. Maybe 100 Thieves and TSM can turn it around. and even Golden Guardians, a lot of teams feel like they're fucking up their drafts and have bad draft reads, where I think CLG has had some of the best draft reads outside their one game where they got perfect gamed, obviously. But like they picked up Volibear right away. They used it super well. They're playing pretty much mostly meta stuff. Pobelter's doing better. I think the team has a better mindset after a pretty terrible split. They have the same number of wins. So I have them, more like 5-6. I think C9, EG, FlyQuest, TL are better. TSM 100 Thieves, I'm not sold on. Golden Guardians could also surpass them. They're definitely better than Dig and Immortals. I don't think 100 Thieves will actually surpass them. I flip on teams pretty quick sometimes. 100 Thieves is one of those teams I've definitely flipped on. But I think CLG is much better than they were last split. I don't think they're this dumpster fire where I can't wait till they get off my screen. Like, I actually like watching them play a little bit right now. And I know Rune is one of the best people at picking up new champs. He always has a large champion pool. North America still hasn't fucking played Wukong. If you asked me to bet who's going to be the first one to play it, I would pick, Rune. So like, there are things that I am excited about CLG this split. So I think you're being a little bit too pessimistic on them still, even if some of your points were decent.
Yeah, so I do. I understand where you're coming from, where you say like it's easy to flip flop back on teams, especially when like they'll show us one thing one week and then they'll show us something completely different the next week. I think, or even within the same week, I think Golden Guardians is a perfect example of that.
Yep.
How they somehow managed to lose the CLG and then somehow managed to put up a fight against C9.
They had their best draft for C9, sadly.
Yeah, true. I honestly, so even with that, I don't want to get on too long of a tangent here, but I actually think that their press R on Nocturne was definitely the counter to C9's Galio, but let's not get too far into that. I definitely do not agree with you where you say that you think they'll finish. I think you said they'll finish ahead of TSM. Is that what you said?
I said they'll finish 5th, 6th, battling TSM and Golden Guardians in that position, probably.
Okay, and yeah, so that I don't agree with. I could see there being potential for that, but I just do not agree with. I think Golden Guardians and TSM are still definitely a better team, but yeah, I don't see that out of the realm of possibility.
I think the thing they have going for them right now is they're at least more, like you said, they probably have worse win conditions than those teams, but they are drafting better right now, and I don't think you can just throw that out as things that get easily smoothed out. Like, they might not have the best things to play around, but they at least are playing around them. Whereas like Doublelift's a great marksman. Here's Syndra.
Yeah.
Like, those are some concerns I have about, like, okay, we've got this like kind of cool comp with Fiddle mid, but the enemy team has 3 tanks. And like even TL is doing this a little bit, where like enemy team's taking Volibear with TF. They're going to try and dive top lane. We pick a losing matchup that's going to get shoved in permadove. Even though Mord can take one into the death realm with him, the turret still gets turned off and stuff. Like, these are the kind of concerns I have with teams in the CLG range right now that I think should get better than them, but they're not right now, and it doesn't always work out.
What do you think about Wiggly? I don't want to flame too hard, but to me, he's been an obvious detriment to his team. He seems a little lost in the jungle. I want to know what you think about that.
I think he is a really hit or miss player. Like, his summer last split was pretty good.
I so thought it was overrated, man. I remember he was 4th in MVP voting or something like that, and I was like, this guy is going to tank. He was like, I'm pretty sure it was 4th. Someone can maybe correct me on that, but I remember thinking like, this guy will tank, and he inevitably did. And I don't know. He tries to force ganks, man. To me, I just don't think he's very good. But I mean,
I didn't put him in my MVP voting, so I don't think I was overrating him. I hope I wasn't. I think so. In his days in Academy, he was kind of the focal point of the team. He would play Graves, he would play strong junglers, and the team would play around him. And I feel like he hasn't been enabled the same way on CLG. Whereas, like, let's say, here's a point I'd make. If Wiggly was on C9 and Reaper and the rest of C9 was able to bring him in the way Reaper always bends his teams over backwards to incorporate rookies, whether it's Blabber, Contracts, Licorice. The young guy always gets what he wants in the resources. Not just in terms of draft, but in play style as well. If Wiggly was on C9, on the starter. I know he was on C9 Academy, guys. I'm talking about if he was brought up to be a starter. He would look way better than he has had on CLG with the inconsistent things going on where Crowns is mid laner and they look terrible together, and like some of the things that have happened to him over the course of his career. I think
totally
Wiggly
agree.
I think he has not been put in a position to reach his potential. I don't think he's reached his potential yet. I don't think he's been good as his time as a starter, but I also don't think I've seen him look as good as I know he probably can be. And so I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I just don't think he's had the opportunity to be as good as I think he can be.
So I definitely agree. Like, yeah, if he was on C9, he would be better. However, to me, that's a statement that I think is true about just about any jungler in the league. Wouldn't you?
Yeah,
agree?
yeah, for sure. And I'm not talking about like every jungler who has better laner looks better because you don't fucking need to help your laners all the time.
Yeah.
I don't mean on that point. I just mean like the way C9 empowers players has not been given. Junglers especially has not really been given to Wiggly. Even when they do give him his pick, I don't think that they are in-game playing around it necessarily the same way. The same way that's happening with Closer. Like, yeah, they're giving him Nidalee, but like, it's not great. Some of the drafts are not great. So, and it's hard to do. I don't want to flame the coaches or the staff or anything like that. I'm just saying that, yeah, on Wiggly's point, I think he could be doing a lot better than he has shown in the LCS so far.
Hey, bluejay.
Yeah.
I appreciate the call. Any final thoughts before we move on to the end of the show?
Yeah, so I'll try to make this quick, or I guess I'll ask Mark.
Yeah, don't try. Make it quick.
Yeah, I just have a quick question because I try to get on the show every freaking week, and like,
you're not making it quick.
Good at it. Okay, you're not helping. Anyways, I want to know if like I should have a shorter topic or a longer topic when I'm trying to post my topic in Discord, because I've heard you say like long topics you don't want to read through all of them, but I don't feel like I can actually make my points in a short topic. So I just wanted to know if you had any recommendations, Mark.
Hold on, let me find. I know you were posting.
Yeah, I got a shit ton of topics every week, man, but like I don't know which ones to go with. I
can
always be like, oh, I think CLG is going to win it all and act like I'm well but...
So here's a lesson for everyone in Twitch chat. Here's one that you posted at 9:23. Take one. CLG's game against 100 Thieves will be their last chance to pick up a win in the first half of the split. What they've shown so far doesn't show a lot of improvement. Good chance this team still finishes 7th through 9th despite a 3-1 start. And then you have take 2 and take 3 underneath it, which I won't even get into. I didn't pull you for that. 9:34 you post, CLG is not a good team, not capitalized, and they will go on a long losing streak and will have to scrap their team and reset after the split. I picked you for that one.
Yeah, I can get into more of that, but I'm sure we don't want to because of
I don't want to get into it. My point is, you have less details on your reasoning, but you have a stronger opinion shown. And what I care about is a strong opinion, and I hope the reasoning is behind it whenever I pull you on. Like what happened with that other caller talking about relegation, but then how great his reasoning was a little different. But like, I like a hot take.
Okay.
And I'm hoping the reasoning's behind it. And if you can squeak some of that reasoning in there without bloating your take, that's perfect. So you say they're going to go on a long losing streak and this kind of stuff. Like, okay, let's see what your reasoning is.
Yeah,
and then you can get
bullet point my stuff every week, so I will do that. But I wasn't sure if I should include the bullet points or not.
And the other thing is, I'm not gonna like when people post 3 takes. Usually, I don't read them. I'll be honest. Like, I'm not gonna try and parse your takes to figure out which one's the best. You do that. You post what you think's your best take. You're only gonna get to do one of them usually, anyways. You know. So just post what you think is good, and if it's good, it's good. And if I don't pull you for an hour and you've been posting for an hour, then try your second take, and maybe I like that one more. But don't post all 3 all at once, and then
By the way, RN in chat. And the Pleb Topics chat is still posting a take, which I think is an interesting topic. RN says Worlds will not happen. We should have a winner split. We do takes usually. I mean, mark up the first hour and 15 minutes of the show. Usually, you're pulling.
Yeah, and I might pull one late if it feels like we're gonna run out of callers. But usually, I try and have it all figured out before then.
Yeah. So it's just I just a caution that like. Earlier is better for getting your takes in because there's no way we can take a call now. bluejay, thanks so much for the call, and I guess we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I'll hopefully talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, have a good one.
And I do try to avoid pulling people's names who I see all the time. So like to bluejay, who says he posts every week, I'm not going to pull you every week, no matter how great your take is, probably.
Hey, quick thing though, Mark. Somebody in the chat, I forget, I lost their name, but they were mentioning that we didn't mention at all Mash and Turtle, which I think was pretty big news. I mean, Turtle's not as popular as he used to be, but a really big name in the league, and kind of an unexpected change. Do we want to say anything really quick about it?
I didn't really notice a good FlyQuest take tonight. Maybe there was one, but it is a surprising change. I don't know. I haven't heard anything, and I wish they would have. Maybe they did post something, but I didn't see any reasoning given. I don't think Turtle's been playing fantastic. I think you could make the case that once Solo swapped in, he's actually the weakest player on that team. Or at least, it's between Solo and him. And so, if Mash can come in and do well, which he seems to have done decently the first week, I don't.
I have an interview with Santorin where I asked him about it, and I think he said that I'm trying to think about it. I think very diplomatically he was saying that like Turtle was not showing up as well in games recently, and like they made the decision to have these two players compete, and now Turtle seems to be doing a lot better. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I think that totally lines up with what I'm seeing, where I don't think Turtle has been the same player he's been, for quite a while. I don't think he has the same, like the Turtle play, that's disappeared for better or worse. And so I think Mash lighting a fire under him and showing that he can come in and do well, hopefully helps both teams. I haven't heard anything about, attitude problems behind the scene or anything. So I'd have to think it's in-game related, and I can see what they're kind of talking about.
Well, either way, thought I heard somebody come into my home. We're at the end of the show. Is there anything that you want to plug or talk about, Mark?
Nope. I'm all good. I am excited to end the show. It's been a great show. This has been a good show for
I really like the show. I thought it was good. We've had a string of good shows, and I think sometimes it's a gamble on whether or not it'll be an okay show or a good show whenever it's just the two of us. But energy was going. Calls were good tonight. It felt good. It was really nice.
Yeah, I agree. Anything you want to say?
Well, I know some people were talking about Twitch and Mixer stuff. I think I'm going to try and do a video in which I will discuss it within the context of LCS maybe going exclusive with a broadcast partner next year. And so maybe that's where I'll discuss it more. I don't feel like we had like a really natural place here to discuss it. Go watch my Shocks interview if you haven't yet, because we talk about, it's a really good interview, really fun interview. I love interviewing her, and it's the second one that we've done during quarantine, and I think it's quite good. What are you smiling at, Mark?
Nothing. I'm reading the DM conversation.
Oh, with Jackie? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, thanks everyone for watching. Stick around after the show, because I'm going to do a bounty that is somewhat Riot Games related. Let's just put it that way. And for everyone else, thanks to Draft Buff in the Twitch chat, who says thanks everyone. It was a pleasure to be part of the show. Draft Buff, come back anytime you want. We'd love to have you. You were a great sponsor, and hopefully we get to do this again soon. This has been episode 128 of Hotline League.